Hey, what's up? So this is another lesson for Niagara, and in this one, again, we're gonna look at some other modules, go back to our Niagara system, and this is what we created in our last lesson. So let's save our Niagara system, and firstly, let's see what the shape location module is doing in here. So let's disable the glossy and change the size to uniform. And also, let's increase the spawn rate of the particles. Now, going back to our level, we can see that the particles are spawning in a specified shape area. So that's what this shape location module is doing. Okay, now let's decrease our particle glow and change the color back to white. Nice. Now, if we go to our Niagara system, and shape location module, we can see that there's a shape right here. This is the shape which is specifying the spawn area for the particles. Now, if we increase the sphere radius, the particle spawn area increases. And if we decrease it, the particles seem to have a smaller spawn area. It has kind of that fluid look to it. Okay, cool. So, hope you have a more better understanding of the shape location module here. Maybe change the sphere radius to 27. Nice. Okay, cool. Now go back to our Niagara system and enable velocity. Cool. Okay, so let's change the shape radius back to 100 and spawn rate back to 4. Also, let's change the sprite size mode back to non-uniform. Sorry, random uniform. Now, one more basic module we can look at here is kernel noise force. So what this does is gives a random motion to the particles. So the particles feel more lively. Okay, so let's change the noise strength to a higher value. For example, like 70. The particles seem to have a random motion. We can barely see it for now, so let's uh, increase it a bit to something like 400. Nice. Now we can see the random motion of the particles. And the noise frequency here is the rate at which the particles change their random direction. Okay, now I'll give it a cool color, maybe green or maybe blue. And also let's increase the particle glow. Maybe something like 8. Also, let's decrease the kernel noise force to something like 150. Also, let's change the sprite size to something like maximum 60 and minimum of 10. So the particles spawn in a size between 10 and 60. Nice. Now, next up, we can look at the color module. So this gives us more control over the particle color. But keep in mind, this will override all the color properties that are specified in the modules above it. Like for example, if we drag this module above scale color module, we can see that the scale color module becomes more dominant. Now, if we select this drop down and select color from curve, we will have a color graph. So now we can see that the fading out animation of the particles is back, but the particles aren't spawning, fading in. So for that, we have to add another point again, drag this in the center, and add another point at the start, which creates a batch to 0, and the particles are spawning, fading in now. So below we have the opacity scale, and above it we have a color graph. Okay, now one cool thing we can do with this module is shift colors. For example, give it a orange color at the start, increase glow, and give it a glowy white color at the end. Now we can see that the particle spawns in a orange color, and at the end of the lifetime, it slowly shifts to a glowy white. Now, if we drag this orange point closer to the white, we can see that the particles remain in a orange color for a longer time. Drag this back to the start, add another point, something like yellowish, and here give it something like purple, then give it something like blue, yellow again. Now we can see that the particles keep shifting colors. So this is quite handy when you have to make a flashy VFX. But right now, let's change it to something simpler. Now, let's enable the spawn burst instantaneous instead of the spawn rate to have a better understanding of the difference between them. Now we can see that all the particles are spawning at the same time and die at the same time. Now, if we enable the spawn rate instead, we can see that the particles are spawning in different time, but still same with the same lifetime. Nice. Now, one other thing we can look at here, which we also previously looked, is loop. Go to the emitter state, and if we change the loop behavior to once, the animation only appears once. Go back to our level. Press D on your keyboard, select the icon, and if we go to this panel and scroll down, we can see this auto activate. If we uncheck and check this option, we can see the animation again. So it only appears once. Now, if we change the loop behavior back to infinite, the loop just keeps looping forever. Okay, cool. So that's it for this lesson. Hope you have a better understanding of the Niagara particle system. See you in the next lesson.